Hi friends, welcome to Immigration News by Ting Law. I'm your host John Ting. We practice immigration law in all 50 states of America and across the world, where we represent clients to help them live and work in America legally. Now, let's get to the bottom of the news today. ICE agency, United States Immigration, Customs and Enforcement, is planning to do some raids into homes. The Washington Post and also the Hill reported this. I believe those two sources are reputable. Now, I want to explain what is going on about these raids. That the ICE agency is going after sanctuary cities. And you may have heard this term, sanctuary city. Is basically a safe haven for immigrants, a so-called safe haven, right? And in that sense, it's because different localities such as counties or cities, and if their police department or the facility where they hold a jail, right, whoever's in control of that, the ICE agency usually asks nearly every locality if that jurisdiction will sign an agreement called 287G. And what that agreement entails is that when someone goes into jail, let's say gets booked that night, then somehow through the electronic system, ICE will be notified that this person is from a certain country, not the United States, not a citizen of the United States. So even someone who is a resident of the United States can be triggered into the system. Now, there's certain localities, let's say like I believe Harris County and Dallas County, they don't have this agreement. Now, this agreement can be changed from every election year, right? Depending on the makeup of the county with its politicians or commissioners, for example, it can change and they can either agree to it or not, right? So you just have to, as a constituent, you have to be mindful of it, especially depending on what you value of your country and your locality, your community. So I want to share that background because President Trump is saying that he wants to go after these sanctuary cities, which he claims are only Democratic localities. At the end of the day, he's trying to play to his base, his political base, where he's putting a hard line on immigrant enforcement. And unfortunately, doing that will tear apart a lot of families, even if someone doesn't have a crime at all. There are a lot of people here who are here without status. However, they don't have crimes. And this is why we're sharing this video, because there's a lot of information you need to know that protect your rights. There's a lot of misconception, misunderstanding that if someone gets picked up by an ICE officer or has a court date with immigration court, that means that that person will be removed or deported right on the spot. That's not true. But of course, it depends on your history. If you've already been deported once before, then there should be something called expedited removal that ICE would enforce. This information is assuming that you don't have any infractions with immigration or any kind of removal order or deportation order from the immigration court. So here are a few tips that we want to share with you. Today's tips is to protect you in terms of what to do in a situation that you find some kind of law enforcement officer at your front door. The first thing is, don't open the door for anyone. Make sure you have some kind of video doorbell. Set that up. These days they cost maybe $80 to $100. The first tip when a law enforcement agency shows up at the door, and that is to ask who they are, okay? Do not open the door. Ask who they are and who they are looking for, and then let them speak. Let them say who they're looking for and why they're there, because maybe they'll mention there's a warrant for someone's arrest. Maybe they won't. Usually I've heard that officers have not mentioned they have a warrant whenever a client comes to my office or their family comes to our office to speak with us about what just happened the previous day. So you need to ask, if they're there looking for a specific person, ask if they have a warrant. The third tip is to not tell them who you are until you see the warrant, okay? Because they could ask you who you are, right? And then you might feel compelled to respond. You don't even have to respond. You just can ask, where is your warrant? If they don't have a warrant, tell them to come back later. I know this may seem strange to tell a law enforcement officer that, but that is your right to ask. Here's a situation that has happened to a few of my clients, unfortunately. Law enforcement officer knocked on the door and someone opens the door. Again, that's the first rule. Do not open a door. But if you do open a door and forget the first rule somehow, you cannot let them roam around your house or where you live. Okay, that's very important. If you've seen the Netflix documentary Immigration Nation, that's the opening scene where the adult daughter opens the door and this just appears nonchalant. This is not a nonchalant situation, okay, when you're dealing with a law enforcement officer. They're there for a specific reason, and they're not there to protect you because you didn't call them, right? If you were there to call them, then they're supposed to be there to protect you. But going back to the tip here, if you have opened a door, I hope the next thing that kicks into your mind is that limit where they can roam around your house. Keep them just to the foyer area, just to the front. And if they start trying to go to the living room or go to your bedroom, down the hallway, tell them you do not have permission to go down to another room. Just tell them, in fact, I would like you to go back outside. Ultimately, it boils down to whether they have a warrant or not. Now, of course, if they have a warrant, then you have to open a door. But most of the time, people don't. The one extra thing I'd like to share is that please, if you have any children, tell them the same thing. Even if they're 6 years old, it doesn't matter how old they are. You need to explain to them to not even open the door for anyone. Because if they accidentally open a door when it's a police officer or an ICE agent, that could be significant trouble for you. And there's no way to undo that. Like some people say, you can't put the genie back into the box. Don't just keep this to yourself. Share these Know Your Rights tips with your family and your friends. If you enjoyed the content today, please subscribe down below so you can get the future notifications of our videos on tips and news. And also, please smash the like button. That lets us know that you enjoy our content. And please leave a comment if you have experienced a situation like this, or you have other tips that you like to share on what people should do in this kind of situation when ICE is knocking on the door. Thank you very much, and have a great evening.